Hello. This is where we left off in the last lecture. This time around, we are going to focus on making the eyebrow. Of course, it's just going to be the same technique. You can use the same technique that we use in making the hairs for the head to make the eyebrows, and just a matter of changing and tweaking the particle properties. And so, but let me just do it with you guys here so that you won't have any issues or troubles doing it in your own character sense. So let's get into this. So for this, first of all, I'm going to do this in a little bit different way. This time around, I'm not going to do it directly on the surface of the head. Right now, I'm going to use a different mesh. So I'm gonna tab in, click on this head, and then I'm gonna go into the edit mode. And now I'm gonna select these areas. And I'm sure you would understand what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to select these areas here. Okay, I think this would be good for the eyebrow. Or maybe, okay, maybe let's deselect these ones. Select these ones here so that the eyebrows will be clearly visible. So something like this. And having selected the eyebrows, I am going to duplicate it. So I'm going to press Shift D and right click on my mouse to drop the duplicate, and then I'm going to press the B key and then select and separate the selection by clicking on selection. And now you see that we have some hairs automatically coming out of the head of our character. This is because this mesh that we have used to cut out an additional surface for the eyebrow is still linked with the properties of the hair particles that we use on the head. So that is now causing issues around here and there. So now to fix this, what we are going to do is we are going to go into the particle edit first of all, and then I'm going to go into the X-ray mode. Let's have a look first of all. Okay, I'm gonna go to the object mode. I'm gonna select this, and let's go into the particle edit mode. Make sure you select only the eyebrows. Now by straight here you can see these hair strands popping out from the surface of our eyebrow. So I'm going to go into the X-ray mode by typing the Alt Z, and then I'm going to press the A key to select all these particles, and then I'm going to press the S key and I'm going to delete particles. Then I'm going to go to these properties here. I'm going to select this property hair and side hair. We could, if we turn this off, these two off. Okay, let's see if that affects. Okay, no problem. Here's what we are going to do. We are going to press the A key, select all of these hair particles, and then I'm going to tap the X key and delete these particles. So once you've done that, let's move out from the X-ray and have a look at this once more. Now I'm gonna set the origin. Like if we look from the front view, the origin is somewhere here. We can set the origin to the object just in case we want to rotate it around. So I'm going to go to object mode, and I'm going to go to object, set origin to geometry, so the origin point is at the middle of this geometry. Okay, so meanwhile, if we select this, we can see these properties here. If we select this, we can also see these properties. These ones are not necessary. I'm gonna deselect it for this mesh. So you can see we only deselected it, but when we have this particular flat mesh that we duplicated from the head, selected, and we removed these parameters. But if we had done it directly here, it's going to get rid of all these style of hair we have on the head. So make sure you have only these detached eyebrows selected before getting rid of those particles. So now we have a clean particle to work with. You can press the G key to drag it out so you can see. So we have a clean particle to work with. So now the next thing we are going to do, I'm going to go to this option, this object mode here, and I'm going to press the weight painting. So we are going to do a little bit of weight painting, but just before we do that, I can see that my geometry is not dense enough. I need more geometry on this surface. I need more density on this surface so that I can work with, so that we'll have nice eyebrows. These faces are too big for eyebrows. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tap the A key, I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna subdivide this mesh just once. So once we've done that, now you can see we have a lot more dense geometry. We can even subdivide it again and again to have even better geometry to work with. Now I'm gonna tab out, I'm gonna go back to the object mode, and this is going inside the surface. Well, we could leave it at that, but for the moment, if you want to bring it out, you could use the proportional editing. So I can press the O key to turn on proportional editing, and I'm going to press the grab key, and then I'm going to just drag this out tiny bit like so. So now it is not too much, don't push it too forward, make sure it still laps on the surface, but not let it enter inside of the surface. That is what we need to make sure we don't do here. So what we're gonna do now is, I am going to, after this, I'm gonna go back to this object mode, and I'm gonna select with paint. So after selecting when paint, so what we want to do here is we want to paint out the areas on the surface that we want the hairs to grow. So we don't want the hair to grow on the entire of the surface. It won't look realistic, as you know that in a real eyebrow, some parts have less hair, such as the end and the beginning of the eyebrows. Some people have even more hairs towards the beginning and the end, and towards the end of the eyebrow. But in general sense, we should not let the hairs grow all around this mesh. So for that, we are going to use the weight painting. So I'm going to make sure the strength is set to 1, and my strength, the weight set to 1, and the strength set to 0.556 value. Make sure you use these values. So now I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to just start clicking and shading the areas that I want the hair to grow. I can increase the radius a little bit. Let me undo. Let me increase this to 23, so we could grow it from here. me reduce the radius. And maybe we'll add some around here. So this is the shape that our eyebrow is going to take. Of course, we can style and comb the eyebrow the way we want, but this is just generally what I'm going to use or work with. So after we're done with this, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go straight to the object data properties. We'll do the same thing that we did for the hair. So we are going to create new object vertex groups for this eyebrow. So already we did for the head, top and the side. Now we are doing eyebrow. We are going to apply the vertex group so that the vertex group will grow hair only on the painted areas of the eyebrow. So we're using this weight paint to actually describe where the hair is going to be for the object for the vertex group. So the vertex group that will be linked to this value, to this mesh. Then this mesh having this weight painting will restrict hairs from growing on these areas that are not painted by the time we add it in the particle system. So I'm going to create a new vertex group, and actually let's do this first. So we should have done this before anything else, so I'm just going to do it. So first of all, you have to create this before paint weighting, if not you're going to lose the weight. So let's create this. So I'm going to give it the name eyebrow, okay, and then let's paint. Okay, something like this doesn't really matter, we just need something to work with. Okay, so we select the eyebrow, you can see it selects this with the weight. So now it's time to start relaxing the hair. So I'm going to tab out, go to object mode, and then I'm going to go to this particle system, and I'm going to create new particle. And next thing we're going to do, I'm going to select hair. We want to create hair. So now for now it is growing on all parts of this surface. So all we need to do is to scroll all the way down over here to vertex group, and then select this and select the eyebrow. So now it has adjusted to fit only the areas that was painted, as you can see how I painted it, and how it has left out these down areas that I didn't paint with. So now we can now go back up and start to change these parameters to suit the hair length and width, thickness, and every other thing for these eyebrows to look white, more like an eyebrow. So for the emission, so I have already done some testing beforehand to figure out which numbers works best for the eyebrows, so that we don't waste too much time tweaking and adjusting parameters. So I'm just going to add in some numbers, so you can note these numbers down so that you could use it as well whenever you are making such making hairs like this one. Or you could just use it as a guide and try to change it a little bit to find what suits your own model. So for the emission here, I'm going to add 900, and for the hair length I'm going to add 0.05. okay, something like that. It's starting to look decent. Okay, so for the segments, let's leave it as 5. Now let's check, nothing to do here. Material, so let's choose the second option. Actually, I haven't named this. This is the material that has the brown color of our hair texture, while this face is the skin color. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just switch to this. So we can always do this later on, but I just decide to do it straight away. So now, next thing, let's see here. For path, I'm gonna leave it at 3, and for the viewport, I'm gonna leave it at 2 strand steps. And then children, I'm gonna choose interpolated. Okay, and then display amount, I'm gonna set it to 4. We don't want that many. And render amount, I'm gonna put it at the same rate for the render in the render window. So now make sure whenever you add a certain display amount, use the same amount for the render, so that it renders exactly the same amount of children particles that you've added, so there won't be discrepancies between what you see on your viewport and what is rendered on your render viewport. So we'll do that, and let me see what else. Roughness, we can always add this later on after we have relaxed the hair and kind of see how it looks, and use this as a deformer, or more like a modifier, to add some more interesting shape or look to the hairs. So for now, we'll skip over these areas and just act like they don't exist for now. So we have the hair shape, and then in the hair shape, I'm going to add some values in here. So diameter root, let's set it to 0.006, and for the tip, I'm going to set it to 0.003, and then for the diameter scale, I'm just going to leave it at 0.01, and make sure close tip is checked. Let's scroll down here, let's see. Okay, that's good enough for now. I think we are now ready to start styling the hair. So let's go to particle edit, and let's grab, make sure the deflect emitter is checked, so that when you comb this hair, it doesn't penetrate into the surface. Okay, so I'm going to choose a little bit bigger brush size, and to make our window even more faster and moving around, because we have these hairs that are displaying on the viewport, and all these are going to slow down the machine. So I'm going to quickly go to this particle system here, and okay, I'm going to go back to the object mode. I'm going to select the head, and then I'm going to go to this particle here, and I'm going to remove, kind of turn off the screen view of the viewport over here, so it doesn't show on the viewport. So you can see my viewport is now very, very fast right now. It's moving very fast. That's what we need for now. So I'm going to select this eyebrow of mesh that we extruded, that the hairs are growing from, and then I'm going to come over here and then select particle edit. So now let's just increase the radius size a little bit more, and once we've done that, we can now start relaxing the hair. So I think I'm gonna hide these eyeglasses. Where is the wears? We haven't renamed this. These planes, these two planes are what I used to create the eyeglass, as if you would remember. I'm gonna turn them off for now, as well as this one here, so that we can see what we are doing more clear. So let's just, I'm just going to do this very basic. You can try to grab some more realistic reference and use that as a guide to help you shape this. I'm gonna reduce my brush size a little bit, or rather I think I need something quite big. And make sure you move it towards the surface. So now all you have to do is just a matter of styling the eyebrows. So and if we want, we can cut some of these hairs that are going all the way to this end. So I can grab the cut scissors and cut some of these hairs a little bit, maybe not too much. So let's not cut this proportionally. Or instead of cutting it, because when you cut, it's gonna kind of cut serially and create a very sharp line, which is not realistic. So I'm gonna undo. Rather, I'm just gonna shorten the hair with the length. So I'm gonna make sure I choose shrink, and I'm gonna shorten some of these areas here. Maybe some of these ones even more towards this area. Shorten these ones. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab the brush tool and I'm just gonna comb this back in again. So now will be a good time. I think we could relax this a little bit more. Let's have a look. We could relax this area a little bit more. Maybe this side could push this side up to give it some kind of a stylized shape. So now I think this would be a good time to do a quick render to see how the hair is looking. I'm gonna go to the object mode, and this is how we've shaped it so far. So let's use this viewport for the render. Press the C, render. Let's zoom in a bit. Okay, I think that's quite a good result. For this area here, we could do some little bit of retouch. The area here doesn't have much hair. We can add more hair in this area, but remember we painted weight, and the weight we painted was very narrow over this area. But of course we can add more hair strands and more short hair strands and add it up here to fill up these areas. So I think you can do this on your own, so let's not waste any further time. I think we could go with this. So having done this, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to mirror this to the other side. So to do that, I'm going to go to the front view, and I'm going to need this this root point. Okay, I'm going to need this root point to be at the center of our geometry, this point here, because we need it to be at the middle in order for it to mirror accurately. So now if we go to the objects, first of all I'm gonna grab this cursor here, cursor menu here, and I'm gonna click this center line, use it as the guide for the mirror, and then I'm gonna go to object, set origin to 3D cursor. So this cursor that was on the mesh is going to come to the center where this cursor is, and then next thing we are going to do, we are going to go to this same object and choose the mirror option and choose S global. But you can see it mirrors this to the other side, but we want a duplicate copy of it. So I'm just going to press Shift D and right click. So now we can now go over here to mirror and mirror in S global. So we can tap off X-ray mode, Alt Z. Now this area, it is moving quite a bit inside of the mesh. So what we can do is to move this eyebrow surface a little bit outward. So we could use proportional editing, or we could just press the G key. Now before we do that, let's set this origin point back to the geometry so that it moves from the center point of the geometry. So I'm just going to make sure the geometry is selected, not the head, this eyebrow, and then I'm going to make sure I'm in the select tool. I'm going to go to object, set origin to geometry. So now we are good to move this outside a bit. So I'm going to grab this and move it out a bit like so. Okay, I'm gonna do the same for this area here, and you can see a lot of space over the other area here. So I'm gonna rotate this, make sure I turn off proportional editing, and now what we can do, we can set the origin here. I think this area is fine. If we rotate from the center, if we rotate this area and push this area inwards, this other area will come outwards. Okay, it will come outside while this one goes in. Okay, they won't be, because it's not balanced. So what we do is set the origin at the end so that it only moves towards the front, from the back to the front. So what we do, we'll take the cursor option, click towards the end point of this eyebrow right here, rather the end point of this mesh, because the mesh is what is growing these hairs. And then I'm gonna set origin to 3D cursor, and now let's try to rotate this. Now you can see it is rotating only this area to the back and not moving this area off. That is already fine. So let's check this. I think it's quite okay now. Okay, so that's fine. Next thing we're going to do, okay, we have the eyebrow. Let me take a look at it once more. So what we can do now is we can come back over here, and deselect this option, make sure we are in the particle property of menu here, and just scroll down towards this viewport display of menu in particle, and turn off show emitter so that it won't show this mesh that we duplicated from the head in the render mode. It won't display it. So let's do the same for this one, show emitter. So in the viewport you can see. Now let's also do it over in the render so it doesn't show in the render as well. So let's do same for this. So only the hairs actually shows in the both in the viewport and in the render. So now is a good time to bring in the hairs back that we did and have a thorough overview of how this character is looking so far. So I'm just going to go to the particles and I'm going to turn these things back on. Okay, now our hairs are back. Let's have a full overview of the character. Let's allow it to load. Now let's do one thing. Let's bring up the eyeglasses back again so it starts to fit in. Let's give it a sec. Okay, now you can see the character is starting to look more like more like realistic. It is, this character is very stylish. It's very stylish. It's a very stylized character that we pushed up towards the best we could, towards realistic human character. It looks more human because of the realistic hairs that it have. We can even add beards to this character if we wish, or even mustache, and even give it more kind of touch or feel. Okay, so that's it for this episode. In the next episode we are going to move on and start texturing. Of course I went ahead and added some skin texture to this body, but I will show you how I did it. Probably yours will be showing this this gray kind of silver color. So we are going to do this texturing all over again and add colors to the shirt, to the tie, even to the pants, and as well as to the shoe. Okay, so yeah, I hope to see you in the next class as we start to round up on this character. It's been quite a journey with you guys, taking the time to practice this and do it. I applaud you for it, and from now you can have the basic knowledge to move on and create any kind of character of your choosing that is in more like the cartoon kind of style. And now this will be a great time to I will encourage you to try get references of other characters and make them, but for now I wouldn't suggest to move into making realistic human characters. Don't look for references of real human beings. Try to look for more like all these kinds of stylic characters. Try to use this cartoony kind of characters for now till you have enough experience to push into the other kind of characters, such as maybe creature characters, more like a semi-human and creature characters, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's it for now, and see you in the next class. Let's not waste any further time. and just take the time to tweak yours and make it look as good as you can push it. And yeah, thanks for joining, and see you in the next class. Bye bye.